Captain, a word?
What's on your mind?
You came to the Deadfire for your own reasons. The problems of others, they must be noisy obstacles by comparison. We both know the burden of being looked to as a source of hope. What say?
I don't make light of the trust that others place in me.
Well, then you have the distinction of being more generous than Ngati's chosen.
You're talking about yourself, dude. Letting out a sigh and planting his hands on his hips, TEKEHU grins with deep satisfaction. He locks his eyes with yours and makes no move to break the contact. You look like you want to get something off of your chest.
Ikera, just so.
Well?
All the powers of the Deadfire have their eyes on the Watcher of Cadnua. Tell me, is the Watcher watching anyone?
He tips his head coyly to the side, letting his hair drape down with a moist squish. Okay, that's weird, but... Kane, thank you for the biddies. I appreciate it. I'm gonna call him Pretty Fish. Just you, Pretty Fish.
For once, Ngati answers my prayers. Captain, I would speak plainly. Are you as excited by the possible? What I mean is, if we were to...
You call this speaking plainly?
I know, Ikera. Something about your company stirs my nerves. If we were to share more than just quarters below deck, does the idea appeal to you?
Let's say I'm intrigued. Speak on.
If such things interest you, my last haphazard coupling was not so long ago. In Neketaka, in fact.
If you're going to brag about a conquest, I'll just plug my ears. That sounds kind of rude, but I don't really want to hear about his former lovers. Like, dude, I'm not about that. And also, why haphazard? Should I ask just so he'll tell me? Or... I'm not a prude. I just don't want him to brag. He brags all the fucking time. He brags about everything. He's a braggart. Yeah, that's not a good line, dude. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be like, if you're going to brag about a conquest, I'll just plug my ears.
Jealousy doesn't suit you, Captain.
It's not jealousy.
She was a godlike.
Why?
One of Amira's brood.
Why are you? Why?
Neat and orderly as a raven's wing.
Oh, that's why you like Pelagina. TEKEHU reaches into his pack and pulls out a black feather. He draws his fingers down the fibers, smiling in remembrance. Stop jerking yourself off in front of me, dude. Pelagina grimaces and involuntarily shudders, her feathers standing on end. One falls from her head and she desperately snatches it from the air before TEKEHU sees.
We found each other in the market and...
Seriously? Why do I asked you not to tell me.
She left me this as a keepsake.
I asked you not to talk about... I asked you not to brag, dude.
I never knew her name.
Seriously?
Now I do not have to suffer the pangs of forgetting it.
Wow, what a dick. Sighing, he lets the feather fall from his hands. A light breeze carries it away. If you're trying to charm me, talking about past lovers is a strange way to do it.
Charm? Oh, not so, Captain. I would have you know me by my impulses, my desires. These are TEKEHU as much as the living god.
Didn't you want to keep that?
Most desperately. But I do not cage love or force it to be anything but itself. A bird fluttered away. She was not mine to keep.
That was some fast seduction. You just like bang them and leave them?
Well, it helps when both parties are beautiful, full of desire, and have no afternoon plans. I was expected at the Guildhall, but one must have their priorities.
He does speak of himself in third person. It's kind of stupid. That's enough theatrics for today.
As you say, Captain, I do not want you to misunderstand. I am a sea anemone, hungry and eager to close around stimulation. I would draw you in with care, with patience.
I'm hesitant to call that sexy, but I'll allow it. Are you saying there's a mouth somewhere on the back of your head? I don't know what to pick. They're all so good. We're just flirting. This is yep. Either 2 or 3. 2? I'm hesitant to call that sexy, but I'll allow it.
Akira, then may we put up a merry chase for each other.
Oh, dude, this is too good. He looks you up and down, thumbing his chin and clearly appreciating what he sees.
We could blunt our teeth on more idle chatter, but I cherish the suspense. Come.
As TEKEHU finishes speaking, his words slow to a crawl. The sensation of sinking into a pool of water begins to overtake you. Alright, what's up? Once again, you find yourself in Andra's waterlogged hall of power. Is his mom gonna tell me not to fuck him right now? The tired swaying of bioluminescent chandeliers casts uneven ray of light down on her court.
I want better for him than you.
Wow! She's literally telling me to back off her son right now. Ningati's great bulbous eyes narrow to pinpricks. More is left unspoken, but you feel your lungs constrict as salt water fills your nose. The world once again reasserts itself, the sensation of moisture and depth pulling away with some resistance. TEKEHU fans his hand over his mouth and yawns. Now I have to, just because his mom told me not to. I'm stubborn that way. His mama was like, no. And I'm like, now I have to. There's a weapon master? Okay, well, I don't want to talk to you right now. Telepathic, disapproving mama. Hazanui. Hazanui Karu paces near her desk, looking like a shark circling the shallows. She clenches a long, elegant pipe between her teeth, the smoke trailing an acrid wake behind her. She looks up when you enter and favors you with a brief nod of acknowledgement.
The former lady of Cadnua, and one-time terrifier of harbor masters, if dockside tales are to be believed.
If anyone tells me I can't do something, I immediately want to do it more, especially in video games. It's not that I want to bang him because of his mother. It's because someone said don't do this thing, and so I'm like, now I need to do that thing. And that thing in this case is TEKEHU. Hey.
You have not brought much good news of late. So, in addition to pirates, profiteers, and slavers, the Deadfire has a vengeful god roaming its waters?
That's about the shape of it.
Just what the archipelago needs. One more disaster tugging at the seams.
Uh-huh.
He must be stopped.
She halts, turning to face you. You're finally able to get a good look at her. She's not especially large for an Omoa, but she carries her shoulders high. Her weathered face looks to have seen many storm-blown and sudden-beaten days on deck, yet her eyes are sharp and keen. First, I need to find him.
And then you'll need resources.
She watches you, her eyes bright with calculation.
The Valians won't lift a finger if it isn't to snatch a coin. And the Huana will barely do that much.
No? Tell it to the water shapers who washed your stranded boats from sandbars, Hazanui.
Success in trade has been quite elusive for the Rauataians, but the bitterness suits you well.
Wow! Pelagina! Burned!
No one takes charge to solve the big problems.
Wow.
But perhaps we could work together to our mutual benefit.
She takes the pipe in her left hand. As she does, you notice that her right is unusually still. What do you mean?
Look around. Deadfire's full of fertile, temperate islands. Except for Andra's mortar. It's largely free of rough weather.
She waves her right hand, and you notice again that the fingers remain strangely still. You realize it's an unusually fine prosthetic.
Yet much of it is uninhabited. Itinerant tribes drift between some of the islands, and smugglers and slavers cluster around the rest. It's a waste. Imagine what this place could be, with well-guarded shipping routes. How many Rawatayans we could feed with plantations here?
I don't see that. Wait, I don't see how you're much different from the other powers here. Can we just like step back a second? So the Rawatai are, they expanded aggressively into the Deadfire archipelago to secure natural resources that are scarce in their native storm-torn land. Though folk, dwarves, and Orlans can be found in Rawatai, most are merchants or remnants of the old kingdoms Rawatai conquered when they seized power centuries ago. Legends say the Rawatayans came into their lands from the Deadfire archipelago in the wake of a terrible cataclysm, but the details of that event have been lost to time and the imagination of storytellers. So they are also colonizers. Every person that is here, from the Valians to the Adirans to the pirates to the Rawatai, all of them are trying to take advantage of someone else's native lands. I didn't even know that. I don't see how you're much different. The Juana are the only locals? Okay. I thought Hazanui, I thought she was Juana. Juana's not Rawatai? Okay. I thought it was. Then I'll keep an eye out for like the difference between Juana and Rawatai, because I've just been thinking of them as the two same things in my head. I don't see how you're much different from the other powers here. A raspy laugh rattles from her chest.
The Valian Trading Company wants to leech every last coin they can from the Deadfire, no matter the eventual cost. They're little more than thieves.
You just saying that because you want to have what you want. Palagina's golden eyes begin rolling, but she catches herself by flicking her nictating membranes out and back again.
The Principi are actual thieves, no matter their pretensions of nobility. And the Juana are happy to let them all pick away at their fractured empire.
Okay, so the Juana are a tribal civilization primarily comprised of island Almoa. Oh, so the Rawatai and the Juana are both Almoa. But there are two different, like, types of Omoa. That's why I was confused. Okay.
Where you see fractures, I see the lines of age.
Lines big enough to sail the Valian fleet through.
She eyes TEKEHU before turning back to you.
We're interested in building something here.
So you're exploiting Deadfire for the sake of the Rawatai.
That's a naive view. One our enemies are keen to promote. Rawatai's violent storms have shaped and hardened us as much as they have our homeland's rocky terrain. But it remains a difficult place to live. So, we rely on trade, and on plantations we've established here. And those developments also create a more stable, productive Deadfire.
I'm not sure I agree.
Wait and see for yourself, Watcher. In the meantime, there's work we can do together.
At least she's not being as, like, pretentious about her goals as some of the other people.
You've got a way of charging into things full speed. Some might call it reckless, but I consider it valuable. If you're chasing the god who's stomping this place into the ground, then we have a common goal. And if you're going to survive here, then you could use an ally.
What do you have in mind?
The disaster at Hasongo remains a key concern. We rely on the port there to ship food back to Rawatai.
She sucks on her pipe, hiding her worried expression behind a cloud of smoke.
That's on hold until you investigate. Short of that, there are other matters that demand attention. Atsura, our Grand Secretary, has a plan that would make use of your unusual talents.
Everyone has a plan to make use of my talents.
His office is downstairs. He can tell you more.
What's the game board for?
Hazatoa. Atsura and I usually have a game running, and this one's been going on for over a month and a half. Atsura's good at misdirection, but I've got a mind for the long game. You look like you've come with a purpose.
What happened with your hand? She extends her arm, holding the prosthetic between you. It's an exquisite piece with reinforced joints in each of the fingers and a smooth, sanded finish.
It happened a year into my first command. We were chasing pirates along Rawatai's south coast, and they landed a shot right next to our magazine. A lucky hit. I ran below. The fire was already spreading and making for our powder stores.
What? I'm just gonna listen.
I smothered what I could with my uniform, pulled the rest away with my own hands.
If you hadn't, you and your crew probably would have died. She nods.
We don't get to choose our challenges, do we? Just the way we meet them. There's a cost to every victory. And the win goes to those willing to make a sacrifice.
She considers the wooden hand, turning it in the light. You sense satisfaction in her gaze.
I'll bet you already know a thing or two about that. And if you don't, Deadfire will teach you soon enough.
Okay, bye! Alright, so she wants me to help her be a colonizer. What are you up to? A young woman with a bright, wide smile and eyes to match raises her hand and gives you a quick but enthusiastic wave. Then, with an exaggerated look of embarrassment, she stops herself and crosses her forearms over her chest.
I always forget that part. Say, you're the Watcher of Cadnua, aren't you? I've never met anyone famous before.
She's cute.
Except the Hazanui. She yells at me sometimes.
You're the quartermaster. The Hazanui yells at you?
Oh, all the time.
She screws up her face into a look of mock seriousness. Still, she can't keep from smiling.
Where's my white leaf? Stop daydreaming. So bore me, if you lose the ledgers again, I'll have you clean the latrines.
At this last comment, she leans close, her eyes wide and voice low with awe.
All this time, I didn't realize she knew my name.
Are you always this excitable?
Welcome to the flock.
Riptide, thank you so much for that Twitch Prime sub. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the flock. Enjoy your month of free emotes. Are you always this excitable?
It's just, this is my first time away from the rough country. I'd heard there were thick, green forests and sandy beaches without a storm in sight, but I never imagined this. You must have traveled lots, seen all sorts of amazing places.
Why does this interest you so much?
I love Rawatai, but it's hard to go a week without seeing storms, or hearing about mudslides burying a village somewhere.
Her buoyant expression sags, but only for a moment. You're the quartermaster. Can you sell me something? Her face scrunches up in disappointment.
I really wish I could, but my supplies are for the Royal Deadfire Company and our allies. Hazanui's orders. Maybe if you impress her or Atsura, they could make an exception.
Okay, well, I'll have to do that then. So I think we have to go down to the basement. Bella's laying in the sun. Okay.
They weren't that bad.
What's in here?
Rhyming Hazanui with Kablooey?
I can't think of anything else.
The man behind the desk regards you with attentive, unblinking eyes and a perfectly open expression. His smooth features make it hard to pinpoint his age, though the crinkles at the corner of his eyes suggest he is not especially young. He cocks his head, taking your measure. He pauses before speaking, just a little longer than seems normal. When he finally does, he crosses his forearms over his chests and gives you a slow, exquisitely courteous nod. The whole gesture is so perfectly choreographed that it seems he must have practiced it many times.
Watcher Nui, the Lady of Cadnua.
Nui is a Rawatine word meaning big, often used after a person's name to indicate respect. Oh, cool. He gives you a sleek half smile that reveals a row of perfect pointed teeth. In his careful stare and the pause before he speaks, you recognize that he's studying you.
I'm not one for ostentation, but your remarkable display at Queen's birth suggests that you are an individual with skill.
Good night, Sir Lewis.
Not mere style.
I'd like to think I've got plenty of both.
So I see.
His eyes shine with interest. He blinks, perhaps for the first time since your conversation began.
I am Atsura, Grand Secretary of the Royal Deadfire Company.
And what is your business here?
Rauatai has long maintained trade interests in the region.
Mm-hmm.
While our homeland is rich in saltpeter, the violent climate and rocky soils make it a poor source for most other basic staples.
How did you guys even live there, though?
It's my business to look after the mainland's interests here.
Who did you cross to get stuck in the basement? He chuckles, a sound as smooth as warm oil.
The Juana and the Valians decorate their latrines with gilding and coral, and the Principe cling to faded riches.
He chops one hand through the air dismissively.
An embarrassment of riches is far less embarrassing than you suggest, Grand Secretary. Thankfully, it is a burden your people will never have to know.
Pallegina with the sass.
I place little value in fancy trappings.
You sure do like your cannons, though.
Can you blame us? We share the archipelago with unpredictable tribes and a league of pirates. And the Valians have made their hunger known. Leave it to them to observe a substance that occurs nowhere else on Aora, and immediately set about pulverizing it for profit.
Yeah, that's not rad.
And leave it to a Rauataian to ignore the dozens of other uses Valian animancers have discovered for luminous Adra just in the last few years.
I do not think in years, Aimika. I think in centuries.
How old is this guy? His eyes fix on her as strange, blank smile spreads across his lips. Then he turns back to you.
Yet the Valians toy with luminous Adra like a child who has discovered her mother's pistol.
And what would you do with it?
Nothing. We know too little about luminous Adra to understand the consequences of ripping it out.
Shouldn't you study it then?
Perhaps you can help me keep them from doing more harm.
I don't want to pick a fight with the Valians for you.
It's not about what the Valians are doing to us, but rather to all of the Deadfire. The demand for luminous Adra has sent the Valian trading company into a frenzy. Their expeditions grow too bold, and their officers too greedy.
He puckers his lips as though at a lack of discretion at a dinner party. This guy is like Hannibal Lecter.
Worse, their rapid expansion attracts
You guys watched
pirates
Hannibal?
and threatens the outlying Juana tribes. This risks souring the Kahanga royals against all foreign involvement.
He inclines his head like he's about to let you in on a secret.
But you can curtail their growth.
This isn't about the welfare of the Deadfire. This is about them outpacing you.
By snapping up land we need to grow food and build ships for our people? Indeed. But our interests and Deadfire's are not mutually exclusive.
He interlaces his long, well-manicured fingers.
The Valians have sent an expedition to Pococahara.
I know about that place.
Storm-wrecked island believed to house a vein of luminous. I hear you accomplished an incredible feat in restoring the luminous Adra near Port Maje.
Yeah, I did. Hi, it's a Marco. I'm really liking it so far. I could spend like hours playing this game. I want to go everywhere. I want to do every quest.
If your abilities allow you to do that, then perhaps you are also capable of the opposite.
The fuck?
Find the luminous Adra at Pococahara.
The fuck?
Render it
I'm not
unusable
doing that.
to the Valians.
I'm not doing that.
This should encourage them to develop the resources they have, rather than reaching for more.
I thought you were concerned about disturbing luminous Adra.
Deeply. But if a small sacrifice here will discourage the Valians from further ventures, then it is a worthwhile risk.
Why would I help you?
Because governors like Clario are a rare breed. Most of the Valian administrators care little for the well-being of the Juana.
And you're saying you care more.
If the Valians claim Pococahara, it is the locals who will truly suffer.
What's to say I don't tell the Valians about this?
For all their faults, they don't lack imagination. I'm confident they know of our intentions.
We'll see.
Deadfire is a tumultuous place. Consider the value of an ally with ships, cannons, and the backing of a great empire. I do not have the precise location of Pococahara, but the tribe on the nearby island of TEKEHU could probably help. I suggest starting there. Now, what else can I do for you?
He's a dick. Yeah, you can have relationships with the NPCs, the companions in this one. They like you or dislike you depending on your choices, and they'll flirt with you, and it makes me blush. What exactly is the Brass Citadel? He hesitates, looking at you as if the answer is obvious.
It's a trading post, of course.
Your trading post has high walls, cannons, and guard towers?
Anything worth building is worth protecting.
Yeah, peace out, motherfucker. These guys give me like a terrible taste in my mouth.